This is a primetime news bulletin here on Joy News on Multi TV. In this edition, President Mahama describes nationwide demonstration by organized labor as encouragement for him to work harder and assures the economy should begin to show signs of improvement by the end of the year. Acting Emir of Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission urges Ghanaians to unite in tackling current economic challenges. And government denies reports Electricity Company of Ghana will be sold as a condition precedent for the country to access funding from the US to improve electricity supply. We have sports, showbiz, business and international news all coming up. Do stay tuned.
News at 8 with Israel Lai.
In our very first story, President Mahama says painful but necessary measures are being implemented to protect the national economy and prevent further challenges, adding that medium-term prospects remain very bright and positive. The president, in his first public reaction to last week's protest by organized labor, reiterated the current challenges are short-term. He was speaking at the Eid al-Fitr celebrations in Kumasi.
The prayer and hard work of Ghanaians would surely produce success. He told the gathering of Muslims at Eid al-Fitr that he has noted all the public manifestations and criticisms expressed about the economy over the past few weeks. According to him, the statement contained in the TUC demonstration is an encouragement for him to work hard on matters of the economy.
We are all too aware of the short-term economic challenges that currently face us as a nation. At the same time, our nation's medium-term prospects remain very bright and positive. Several factors, both internal and external, are responsible for these challenges. I have noted all the public manifestations and criticisms expressed about the state of the economy over the last several weeks. I've also noted the recent demonstration by organized labor. As a social democrat, the working people are my natural allies. I therefore treat their concerns with all the seriousness they deserve. I therefore consider the message contained in the TUC demonstration as an encouragement to work harder on matters of the economy.
The president also announced he will preside over the Presidential Advisory Committee on the Economy later this week for the implementation of measures to restore the economy to prosperity, adding the government would work hard to stabilize the currency to bring down inflation and interest rates.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have every confidence that these measures will definitely begin to yield good results. We need to be optimistic and eschew any attitudes of cynicism and pessimism. With faith, determination and hard work, we shall succeed as we apply all the knowledge and expertise we have in solving our problems. Our nation has gone through similar or even worse economic challenges before, but we have succeeded in overcoming them largely through a singleness of purpose, a sense of optimism, and an attitude of collective determination and focus. Brothers and sisters,
Government is also increasing investment in agriculture to increase the production of strategic commodities, which is resulting in a positive increase in local rice production. On the Kumasi Central Market construction, he assured all traders in the market will be registered and published in the dailies to ensure their location after the construction of the market.
The Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, meanwhile, says it is taking a wait-and-see posturing to President Mahama's promise of better economic prospects for the country by the end of the year. General Secretary Solomon Kote spoke on today's big story.
Debunking the complaints and the petition that have been sent to him. It is also refreshing to note that he is saying he's taking note of each and every one of them, and that together he is going to ensure that by the end of the year we shall be receiving the dividends of the sacrifices that all Ghanaians have been making. But the question one will be asking, and this one I'm speaking as Industrial and Commercial Workers Union General Secretary, is this: We've had many promises from this very president, especially from last year when he began promising us that the issue of the doomsday will be a thing of the past, November, January, March, and so on and so forth. And it's like if we are to take him on his promises, none of his promises have seen the light of the day. However, we're also very optimistic, being Ghanaians, that we want this country to be good and to be well with us. We are hoping that he will rather assign his economic team to engage those of us who have gone on the street to speak very loud, to know exactly what things have been put in place to give us the results. But this open blank check that is given, that by December, we think it is too open for any serious-minded person to take it serious. The issues you put out there, if we use the word immediate, it does not signify and imply that by tomorrow get this or that one done. We are demanding that if we know the practical steps, immediate practical steps that are taken to resolve the issues, is what Labour was actually asking for. Not that tomorrow, by this time, give us ABC.
Well, President John Mahama is urging religious leaders in the country to continue with a spirit of unity, common purpose, and togetherness as they join their faiths together to pray for the country. He said the historical traditions of peaceful coexistence of religions have created the foundation of tolerance that is guaranteed by the Constitution of the country. He commended all religious leaders for continuing the spirit of tolerance and understanding. A report by Ashanti region correspondent Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin.
President John Dramani Mahama further said the fact that the country has remained peaceful, stable and united has always been because of the current crop of leaders provided by the religious bodies. He explained the level of tolerance, understanding and compassion demonstrated by religious faiths has contributed to the current atmosphere of hope, peace and security.
Muslim brothers and sisters and neighbors with assorted gifts and foods to support them during the period of fasting. It is the same during Christmas and other Christian festivals, when our Muslim countrymen and women also join our Christian counterparts in their celebration. It is indeed an amazing coincidence that during this Ramadan, in fact 3 weeks ago, our Christian brothers and sisters also came together to hold the National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving. We pray for our nation and all our people to be united and bound together in the spirit of love. This coincidence of prayer, Christian and Muslim, I believe will make our nation Ghana continue to shine above all others on the African continent.
Observing his prayer with Muslims in the Ashanti regional capital for the first time, President John Dramani Mahama congratulated the Muslim community for going through 30 days of fasting and prayer. Speaking on this year's Hajj, President Mahama indicated it to be a better one than last year and urged Muslims to contribute and cooperate fully to make it a success.
Invitation from the regional chief imam and the Muslim chief of Kumasi to celebrate the festival of Eid al-Fitr with you here in Kumasi. Traditionally, the president will be at the Black Star Square to join all Muslims across the country to celebrate the Eid. I consulted the national chief imam and he gave me permission to join you here today. He said, wherever prayers are given to the glory of Allah, one can be. It is the pureness of one's heart and his relationship with God that matters.
Ashanti Regional Chief Imam Sheikh Abdul Mumin Harun asked the President, as the chairman of the ECOWAS, to help fight against Boko Haram as they are not true Muslims. He also appealed to the President to construct one of the 200 community secondary schools at Asukwari Mampong. Sheikh Abdul Mumin Harun advised the Muslim youth to remain resolute to the teaching of Islam.
Now here in Accra, Vice President Pakwesi Misahata has reiterated government's commitment to soon fix Ghana's troubled economy. The Vice President, who joined Muslims at the Independence Square to say Eid al-Fitr prayers, assured Ghanaians the economy will be resuscitated soon.
Thousands gathered at the Independence Square in Accra to say the morning Eid al-Fitr prayers. The prayers, led by the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Dr. Osman Nuhu Sharubutu, mark the end of Ramadan, fasting and prayers for a month-long period observed by Muslims across the globe. In her sermon, the National Chief Imam entreated Muslims to imbibe the teachings of the Holy Quran and lead lives worthy of emulation. The Vice President conceded the economy was not in the best of shapes at the moment.
As a government concerned about the long-term viability of our economy and its ability to sustain and improve our standards of living, we have had to implement some painful but necessary measures to ensure that we overcome these challenges as quickly as possible. The Quran says, and I quote, "Indeed, after difficulty, there is ease."
He also tasked Muslims to pray for their brothers and sisters in northern Nigeria.
I ask all Muslims to continue to pray for our brothers and sisters in the northern regions of Nigeria and to the countries that border that region. These people are enduring abductions, random bombings, and other threats by the Boko Haram group. We particularly have to remember the families of the young girls of Chibok, abducted from school over 3 months ago and still enduring captivity.
In yet another promise, the Vice President assured Muslims this year's Hajj pilgrimage will be free from the problems that have characterized previous trips. For the first time, the 2014 Eid al-Fitr prayers came with sign language interpreters. Organizers explained it was to ensure the hard in hearing also feel part of the celebration.
In a life and death struggle.
The acting emir of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission, Maulvi Mohammed bin Saleh, has called on Ghanaians to unite in tackling the current economic challenges facing the country. He said the only way Ghana could effectively tackle the current challenges facing the country was through unity and hard work. He was speaking at a ceremony to mark Eid al-Fitr on Monday.
The acting head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission in his speech advised Muslims to draw values from the month of Ramadan to successfully and effectively save the country from economic turmoil.
Having suffered a number of setbacks in our life as a nation and having found ourselves currently at the brink of near economic turmoil, we need to draw deep down the inherent values of the month of Ramadan. We need, this time more than ever, to determinedly stand united as a people with a common destiny to exert every single of ours and prayerfully salvate Mother God. Necessarily supplicate in prostration before the Almighty Allah and back up the prostration with hard work in a concerted manner so as to pull out Mother God on the abyss of economic downturn.
The president, in a speech read on his behalf by Minister of State in charge of Private-Public Partnership, Dr. Rashid Pelpu, rehashed the earlier call for unity and stressed that government had put in place measures to effectively handle the economic challenges.
Our nation's medium and long-term prospects remain very bright and positive despite the challenges we initially are going through. As a determined government with a clear mandate, we have had to implement some painful but necessary measures to ensure that we overcome these challenges. We have shown determination and focus by taking the bull by the horn. As President, I firmly believe that with the blessings of the Almighty Allah, our patience, prayers, hard work, and sacrifices will surely produce success. Dear brothers and sisters, we are on a journey to transform the structure of our largely import-dependent economy. The transformation is a sure security for the sustainable economic development of our nation.
Prayers were also said for the soul of the departed head of the Ahmadiyya Mission, Maulvi Wahab Adam.
Still on Eid, Northern Regional Minister Alhaji Mohammed Muniru Limuna, in a speech read on his behalf, said nothing can be more valuable than lessons of sacrifice, self-discipline, piety and charity as observed throughout the month of Ramadan. He called on Muslims in the region to let the lessons learned from the month-long Ramadan continue to stay with them for peace and tranquility to exist for development.
Hundreds of Muslims converged at the Tamale Jubilee Park to observe the Eid al-Fitr prayers to mark an end to a month-long Ramadan fasting. The day brought together Muslim men and women dressed in beautiful white clothing to thank Allah for having guided them through the Ramadan. The Northern Regional Chief Imam Alhaji Abdul Salam led them in a congregational prayer before delivering the day's Quran sermon. Northern Region Minister Alhaji Mohammed Muniru Limunu, whose speech was read on his behalf by the Tamale Metropolitan Chief Executive Abdul Hanan Gundado, assured the Muslim gathering government is working hard to fix the challenges of the economy. He called on Muslims in the region to let the lessons learned from the month-long Ramadan continue to stay with them for peace and tranquility to exist for development in the region.
Now, fashion plays a big role in Eid al-Fitr celebrations as Muslims go the extra mile to look their best. And the faithful, particularly the women on Monday, did not disappoint.
The Independence Square was a sea of colorful attires with footwears and jewelry to match. This is definitely one of the occasions where you find Muslims in some of their best wears. The women I've seen around here are all in bright, colorful outfits with matching hijabs and mayrafis. Your shoes, your jewelry, your clothes, you specifically planned for today, didn't you?
Yes, please.
Oh, you're looking beautiful.
What I'm putting on is it's called Enter the Net.
Oh, okay. Enter the Net.
Yes,
oh, really?
please.
Is it the material or the style?
No, the material.
Oh, okay. You put a lot of effort in your outfit.
Yes, of course, we have to.
Why?
You have to, because this is the day we're all waiting for, and we thank Allah for this wonderful day.
The festivities, mainly involving the youth, usually begin after the morning prayers. The old, well, they have the option to rest after a month of fasting and prayer. After prayers, what are you going to do?
Oh, we are going outside and celebrate, enjoy. We thank God to give us long life.
Let me seize this opportunity to wish my illustrious happy Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Mubarak. I wish them all the best. I wish them the very best, and we thank Allah for this gracious time.
Come back to celebrate the Eid at the Rollins Park, to be precise.
What's happening at the Rollins Park?
As usual, there is a jamboree, so we will come back to grace the occasion.
We brought our old boy here. After this, with due respect, we have to take him home for him to rest. Then we go to the Opera Square to join our colleague Muslims to continue the celebration.
But it is not all about celebration for this young man. Though he is always happy to be at the Independence Square every year because it affords him the opportunity to meet old friends, he intends to imbibe the teachings of the Quran.
Anytime I pray and the Imam preach, it improves my life. All the bad deeds, you stop the bad deeds and follow what the Imam have preached. It changes your life. You turn over a new leaf.
Barakat Salah to all Muslims watching me across the world. We're taking a break. We'll be back with more stories. Stay tuned. In other news, new Upper East Regional Minister James Zuga Tega on Sunday arrived at the regional capital of Ogatanga to assume office. He was received by Deputy Upper East Regional Minister Daniel Saime, who was last week involved in an alleged hit-and-run accident that claimed one life. Our correspondent Albert Sore sent in this report.
The new Upper East Regional Minister was warmly received by enthusiastic National Democratic Congress supporters, family members and friends. Deputy Upper East Regional Minister Daniel Syme, despite being involved in an alleged hit-and-run accident last Thursday, performed his official role of introducing the new regional minister to the people of the Upper East region.
He has obliged with the directive of the President by reporting today. Let us give our new regional minister a hearty welcome to the club.
Addressing the people of the region, Mr. Tigak promised to operate an open-door policy. He appealed to citizens of the region to remain united at all times for the development of the area.
I appeal for unity in the region. I appeal seriously for unity. Because if we are not united, there is no way we can move forward. A house that is divided can never stand on its own. So first and foremost, I want to appeal to you that let's come together and let's push Upper East to where it belongs.
Upper East Regional Chairman of the NDC, Ahaji Mumuni Bunaba, urged the minister to have a listening ear to especially members of the party.
Some expert Dr. Isaiah Boateng is asking government to set up a social mitigation program for internet fraudsters that will channel their expertise into development. He's also advising internet users to duly verify internet sources and check the authenticity of any information they receive on the internet to avoid cybercrime.
The dominance of cybercrime in Ghana has led to the denial of Ghanaians' e-commerce transactions after the country was blacklisted. With the proliferation of devices and applications in the country, cybercrime cannot be downplayed. Cyber experts say there is a need to make use of those with in-depth IT knowledge to check the surge of cybercrime.
I made a research on the mindset of these Sakawa perpetrators, and one of the things that I propose, or being a proponent of those things, is to find a social mitigation for these people. You know, some of them have the skill set that we need. If we as a corporate Ghana could harness these people's resources, we could also use them even for nation states activities where they would be also be fronting for us, you know, as a nation. If they know that you're not really arresting them, but you want to get inside their mind, their thinking, you'll be able to talk to them. And if you offered them this so-called stipend or social mitigation, I'm sure most of them would, because that is how the research was, that they would rather take the stipend for a decent living and now being used, being engaged by the state. It could be, for instance, part of our national youth policy.
Dr. Isaiah Boateng also advised internet users to verify the links to information they receive on the internet.
You need to be sure of what sort of website, where did it come from, and so on. So as basic questions like that, like same way when you get a request on your Facebook, somebody wants to connect with you. Some of us don't even check the profile of whoever has made the request. You immediately will click it. And these are the basics that we need to check first. Now then we go step by step into even the applications. The applications, for instance, you want to check the source when you're downloading some apps. Where is it coming from? What sort of application? Basically, if you understand some of these, then you would do one or two checks.
Although a data protection program is in place, Dr. Isaiah Boateng maintains it is not enough and asks government to put in place structures to protect internet users. Abigail Adumakonchi for Joy News.
And we have business news coming up. Stay tuned.
Time now for some business reports with me, Abigail Adomakoenchi. To start with, government will soon be focusing on the development of tourist sites in local communities in the country. This, according to Tourism Minister Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjare, will create sustainable tourism with the potential to create huge economic benefits to citizenry. She made this known at an IAS panel discussion on legacies of the transatlantic trade.
The discussion highlighted, among other things, the history of Africa with emphasis on the transatlantic slave trade. Minister of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjare mentioned in her speech that government had developed a strategy to fully exploit the potential of local communities in the country.
In the area of tourism and the slave route project specifically, the strategy is to work more closely with the local community to maximize the local economic benefits which tourism can bring to them, and already has the support and endorsement of a growing section of stakeholders. The route has a great potential, and the tourism sector is poised to exploit the full potential, which aims to provide for the development and promotion of sustainable tourism for the social, economic, and environmental benefits of Ghanaian citizens for the enjoyment of all its residents and visitors.
The discussion also saw in attendance Minister of Education, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, and Ambassador Thomas Kwesi Korti, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration.
An oil and gas analyst and senior research officer at the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security, Solomon Kwakume, has faulted Ghana's current contractual agreements in the oil and gas sector. First, he says depriving Ghanaians from fully benefiting from the resource. Bilateral negotiations which Ghana has adopted, he explained, is the most dangerous, adding it is tainted with fraudulent and corrupt practices.
Solomon Kwakume makes this known during a media training on the oil and gas industry. According to him, under the bilateral negotiations, foreign oil companies approached the host government to apply for a concession for exploration, development and production of the oil field for export. The FOCs in turn pay royalties and taxes to the host government. This, he argues, is not done openly and therefore is not in the country's best interest.
If for 3 years, more than three and a quarter years, over $10.5 billion dollars of oil was exported from this country, and we ended up only earning 2.08%. It's not a fair deal. That's where we are advocating for a better way. Now in this country, we are in dire need of cash, and what is happening is we don't have the money. The cash is not coming. Everybody is, because what is happening is because we have oil, everything is now gone up in the country, and the oil is not, the oil money the appropriate oil money is not coming in.
He have advised the production sharing agreement and another form of contract agreement should rather be adopted by government to make the oil industry beneficial to Ghanaians.
The profit sharing agreement is the most modern, equitable and fairer way of distributing oil revenue currently in the world, all over the world. And at the moment there are over 75 countries in the world, even including Russia, who are doing production sharing agreement. What we are doing in Ghana, what we call a modern concession, a hybrid system, it's not done anywhere. In the whole Africa, no country is doing it. Now, before the oil discovery, the law governing the upstream industry is the PNGC Law 64/84, which were modeled on production sharing agreement. Why we should leave that law and then try to do or model another law is what we do not understand. So our campaign is, or our advocacy is, we should go back to the tenets of PNGC Law 64 and 84, which are modern, which are modeled on production sharing agreement, which is a fair way of sharing our oil revenue.
He also regrets that issues of removal of tax with respect to production sharing agreement between Ghana and FOCs is not appropriate and should be reviewed.
The Union of Commerce, Industry and Finance Workers, UNICOF, says it would oppose any attempts to introduce VAT on some banking services. Government in June suspended the introduction of the 17.5% VAT tax on some services that banks would be rendering to the public. General Secretary of the Union, John Isiapi, says the union's move has been influenced by the fact that the Ghana Revenue Authority is still running commercials which aim to educate the public on the tax. He said because services like ATM and SMS would be affected, if customers decide not to use them, banking halls would be choked, and hence the need to increase the number of employees. UNICOF says most most of the services can have serious repercussions on the banking public. According to them, about only 30% of the population avail themselves to banking services, fearing the introduction of the 17.5 VAT would affect banks' bid to increase the percentage. And to the insurance sector, the National Insurance Commission (NIC) has developed new guidelines to compel insurance companies to pay claims that have been established as genuine within 7 days. The Commission believes the guidelines will help to boost confidence in an industry that has over the years been battered by claims redemption challenges which have left many people in pain, affecting confidence and trust in insurance companies. The NIC contends that implementation of the no premium, no cover policy has made cash-strapped insurers solvent, which has positioned them well to respond appropriately to claims when they fall due. The NIC, in a directive issued to insurers, reinsurers and brokerage companies, said that it has set August 1 this year for effective implementation of the guidelines. Insurance companies that fail to abide by the new directive risk hefty sanctions. And that'll be all for business. I'm Abigail Adumakuenchi. Do stay tuned for more news.
The Ministry of Energy and Petroleum has denied reports the Electricity Company of Ghana will be sold as part of conditions attached to the Second Millennium Challenge Compact. Now, Akrofi Smatabi brings you more on what is contained in the compact and the minister's insistence that it does not suggest a sale of ECG.
Parliament, before it went on recess last week, approved the memorandum accepting the conditions, which, among others, states that government must show evidence of its intent to proceed with an acceptable ECG private sector participation transaction in a form and substance acceptable to MCC. A copy of the memorandum, cited by Joy News, further defines an acceptable private sector provider as a competitively selected private sector entity which, among others, has relevant technical experience and a proven track record of helping electricity distribution companies of similar size and scope as ECG to become profitable, and also has adequate financial capacity as evidenced by the ability to satisfy the minimum equity threshold and tangible net worth requirement set forth in the tender documents released by the government. Government, in the memorandum covering the compact, which will release $500 million to Ghana over a 5-year period, is also required to show evidence of approval and implementation of quarterly tariff adjustments. A statement signed by the Energy Minister, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, however, says the Electricity Company of Ghana and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company are not for sale, but are aimed at addressing the constraint of inadequate and unreliable power supply in the power distribution companies. It mentions the distribution and access projects under the compact, it says, are expected to result in the sustainable improvement of the operational and commercial performance of the electricity distribution companies through reduction of hidden cost, increased investment and improved regulatory environment, leading to increased access to electricity for social and economic uses so that there will be reduced outages, improved power quality, improved access or intensification diversification of connections, reduced commercial and technical losses, improved customer services, improved financial management and sustainability, and reduced cost of service. The minister in the statement maintains the proposal under the compact is a derivative of the ECG's own ongoing efforts at ensuring private sector participation in its operations, and that the sale of the company is not a subject for consideration under the second compact.
Up next, we bring you international news. In sports, Ghana's Jesse Latte continues to lead the charge for a medal at the ongoing Commonwealth Games in Glasgow as he defeated Rwanda's Oliver Nchiringo to make the quarter-final of the men's lightweight contest. Here's a wrap of Ghana's performance on day 4 of the Commonwealth Games.
Ghana's table tennis team secured a sweet revenge over Jamaica after winning their semi-final classification game 3-1 in Glasgow on Saturday, but missed out on a chance to qualify for the next stage after losing to defending champions Singapore. Ghana lost 3-0 to Trinidad and Tobago in the final classification game yesterday. In swimming, Ghana's Ophelia Swain and Abeku Jackson broke national records over the weekend. Ophelia blazed to a new national record of 29.66 seconds in the women's 50-meter butterfly event, while Abeku Jackson set a new national record in the men's 100-meter freestyle event after placing third in heat 3 in a time of 56.47 seconds. In boxing, Ghana's Jesse Latte is through to the quarter-final after he beat Rwanda's Oliver Nchiringo 3-0 at the round of 16, but lightweight Musa Lawson lost narrowly to his Canadian opponent in their 3-round contest. Ghana's campaign in judo came to an end over the weekend as Victor Ahiavo and Raymond Nomesi lost their respective fights in the 100 kg and 90 kg events respectively.
And then Ghana's Black Princesses continued their preparation for the upcoming FIFA Under-20 Women World Cup in Canada as they recorded a 3-1 win over the Under-21 side of Burlington Bayhawks. Goals from Edem Atova, Pris Lottery and Rashida Abdurrahman helped the Black Princesses to victory over the Bayhawks, who were coming off their recent Ontario Cup win. In previous friendlies, the Princesses drew 1-1 with Panthers and beat GS United 2-0. Ghana will play Canada at the National Soccer Stadium in Toronto when the World Cup commences on August 5. Meanwhile, the Black Satellites continued their preparation for the upcoming Africa Youth Championship qualifier this weekend as they handed Mighty Jets a 3-1 defeat at the Accra Stadium on Sunday. Strikes from Sam Tete, Sule Mohammed and Chris Bonnet ensure the win for the National Under-20 side, who shift focus to the qualifier this weekend against Gabon. And that'll be all for sports.